And perhaps more than anything else, she never offered voters a clear vision for where she wanted to take the country. And she also never offered a compelling reason to vote for her rather than against Donald Trump. And I think all of those factors came into play, in addition to the fact that sort of the unprotected people of the country are in a total revolt against the bipartisan ruling class. And in terms of a divided country, I understand a lot of these races are very tight. But when you take a look at that map, it looks pretty darn red to me. And if you think that Donald Trump is going to win the presidency and the Republicans are going to hold both the Senate and the House, this looks like a complete repudiation of President Obama and the status quo and the Democratic agenda.
Think about that. There have been pieces run. Frontline, I think, recently ran a piece talking about this moment at the 2011 White House Correspondents' Dinner, where President Obama got up there and just went after Trump, went after him. It was brutal. It was retribution for Trump's birtherism and for all that Trump had done on Barack Obama's birthplace and so on. And he embarrassed Trump in front of a room full of people. And the theory was this the moment that Donald Trump said to himself, I'm coming for you. You think I'm a joke? Yeah, I'm coming for your legacy. I'm coming for your job. You think I'm a joke? Stand by. And whether Barack Obama has himself to thank or blame, depending on your point of view, for what has happened tonight to his legacy and his predictions.
It was a pretty funny speech. It was funny.
The Lion King part was really good.
That was good. Dana, your thoughts on that?
Well, I have been thinking about what I think will be the inevitable result, that Donald Trump will win the presidency. So then I immediately start thinking about the transition and then how do you get from one administration to the next. It will be very interesting to see how President Obama decides to speak about this. Obviously, Hillary Clinton is going to have to speak first, but soon after that, you're going to want to hear from the President of the United States. You know, he tweeted something today that no matter what happens tonight, the sun will come up tomorrow. Or now in like 4 hours. But whether he is able to set aside some of that personal disgust that he expressed through a humorous speech, but also then on the campaign trail. This is one of the first times in many, many decades that a president has actually gone out and campaigned. Partly that's because there was unpopularity problems, but also because he knew that it is so important to cement his legacy for him to have been followed by Hillary Clinton. And if that does not happen, that will be extremely
Obama
dangerous
has
for him.
held open a day later this week to meet with the new president. Yep. So imagine that shot, which we always see. We saw it with Bush and Obama. Imagine Donald Trump and Barack Obama, two men who can't stand each other, walking down the colonnade in the Rose Garden together.
But they can do it.
Listen, not to compare that situation to my own relationship with Donald Trump. But for the record, he and I had this dust up, as you know. You guys know, at the first debate. He was very unhappy with that question, as you may be familiar. And months later, he attacked me for months. I went to see him at Trump Tower, and he could not have been more gracious. He was kind. He was charming. He was quick to forget it all, as was I. And we did fine from that point forward. I'm not comparing the two relationships. I'm saying that as much as we know him as a man who holds a grudge and won't forget, I don't know whether that is reality.
I'm frankly thinking less of Donald Trump than I am Barack Obama.
Right.
I mean, Donald Trump's going to be the winner. He's coming in. He's moving in.
It's all good.
Imagine Barack Obama with a man he has utter contempt for and turning over the keys to the White House.
But it's also important to remember that Barack Obama right now has a 55% approval rating.
In part maybe because they looked at the other two candidates.
Well, it's not to say. That could be.
This president's pretty generous.
Right, but in terms of what we're hearing tonight, in terms of some of the analysis, it says, well, this is a repudiation of Obama, Obamacare, the Obama economic, the Obama foreign policy, the Iran deal. I could go on. You got to stop and say, well, what is going on in America that you can get a 55% approval for a president at the end of his second term?
Corruption,
and at the same time,
fraud, and just say I'm Obama, throw fucking 55% up there on a fucking scale.
President Trump.
The hell do you mean?
Some credit.
Jen Psaki said the president's ready to hand the baton over. That's what she said. He's ready. Whomever. Is it Trump? Is it Clinton? He's ready to do it. We heard the kind-hearted, patriotic remarks that Barack Obama made about a Trump protester who showed up at his rally.
Yep.
He said that that man was a veteran who deserved our respect. Now, I believe that the presidency, people grow in office. I think people become more wise. They become more mature. We've heard divisive things from Barack Obama in the past. There is no question about it. But this is an opportunity for, as we would say back home, you have to give people the opportunity to do the right thing because sometimes they're going to surprise you. And this is an opportunity for both of these men and for this woman to do the right thing for the country and surprise them.
Let's talk about a couple of the people who helped him get there. Former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, who today said, what, Karl Rove, 2-to-1 chance that he becomes president of the United States?
In North Dakota and said Trump's chances were 2 out of 3 of winning and hers were 1 out of 3.
Former mayor of New York, Rudy Giuliani, who we talked to earlier, who was confident he was going to pull out Florida. Monica?
Yeah, I mean, these are people who held serious positions in the U.S. government, elected positions, mayor in the case of Rudy Giuliani, who put their serious reputations on the line very early to support Donald Trump. And I believe they'll be richly rewarded in any Trump administration.
And let's not sugarcoat it. Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham at this channel on her radio show.
And Coulter.
And Coulter.
Ann Coulter's the happiest
Greta.
person in America tonight.
And Monica. And Monica, of course.
Don't forget Eric Bolling.
Eric Bolling, Janine Pirro.
What
There are
about
lots.
Greta that lost her
Steve
fucking job?
Dana, who is the proprietor of Breitbart, which is described as alt-right, this alt-right website,
Yeah.
who came into the campaign late, and everyone said, Steve Bannon, but Trump did become more disciplined when Steve Bannon was in there, and Steve Bannon, he said some very controversial things, and he's a very controversial man. And the question
But
is,
it's been very quiet during the campaign,
Yeah.
right? So very behind the scenes. I don't.
About his businesses, which he's going to hand over, he says, to his family.
This is going to be a problem because they're going to have to be sensitive to the same kind of concerns that Hillary Clinton was asked to be sensitive to when she was given the position as Secretary of State. On January 13th, 2009, she appeared before the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, and both Democrats and Republicans cautioned her about the potential for conflicts of interest or even the appearance of conflicts of interest that the foundation could present. Same thing's going to happen when you got an international business operating both here and abroad.
But we do have a model for this. Michael Bloomberg, who ran a multi-billion-dollar empire, was elected mayor of New York City, put a lot of his business interests into a trust, turned the business over to trusted aides, ran the city of New York, and then went back to his business.
John Podesta is said to be headed over to the Javits Center, and Secretary Clinton is not going with him.
what do you make of that?
I think they think it's over. I mean, there's this. Pennsylvania's been called. It's relevant to this story by a number of news organizations, including the Associated Press and the New York Times. So obviously, the fact that we haven't called it may well be the right decision, but that may well be what's affecting the Clinton camp, and they're looking at this and saying there's no way.
Let's go to Jennifer Griffin at the Clinton camp to get the latest there. Jennifer?
Well, Brett, we just learned that John Podesta, campaign chairman for Hillary Clinton, will be taking the stage shortly. He's on his way over here to the Javits Center. It's not clear at this point in time whether Hillary Clinton herself will be making her way over to the Javits Center tonight. What we've noticed is there are a few more people streaming in. They've put on the music that we've come to expect from the campaign. What we've heard on the campaign trail for months.
I'm just saying. Did they get Jay-Z, Beyonce? Are they there? Lady Gaga?
But the looks on people's faces, very glum.
Katy Perry? Are they there? Are they there? Are they there consoling you? Are they there patting you on your fucking back and saying it's gonna be all right? Are they saying that? I'm gonna try to tell you that, man. It's gonna be all right, yo. Come get your red hat.
Hillary Clinton at all tonight.
And come over and chill out.
Certainly that possibility.
Don't cry like the rest of these people.
All we know at this point is that John Podesta is making his way over here, and he's expected to speak to the crowd.
Well, that is very interesting. If we are not seeing the candidate go there, I mean, it's reminiscent, Chris, of Nashville when we had Daley come out and speak to the crowd there in Nashville in 2000 instead of Al Gore. And I was there, and I flew from there to Tallahassee to start the recount.
You know, when I did the third debate and I asked Trump would he accept the results of the election, I didn't ask Hillary Clinton. I obviously made an oversight. I mean, because one would assume if she were going to concede that she would go over to do that in public. So the fact that she isn't going over, and if he does speak, he's either going to say it's a long night and we're not going to know anything.
That makes sense.
All right, Kelly.
But when you're seeing, you know, and listen, we haven't called it yet either, right? But several other people are suggesting that not only might Trump win Pennsylvania, but he might win a few of these extra states. I mean, if that is the case, what good does she do herself by not coming out tonight? Is holding on for hope that she's somehow going to run the table on every single state that's still out there?
I think Jennifer is still out there. She asked this question about conceding, I think.
Well, Brett, actually, when we flew after the third debate, we flew on the plane with Hillary Clinton leaving Las Vegas, and it was the first question that I did ask Hillary Clinton after Chris had asked the question of Donald Trump on stage, and that had been the headline from the third debate. So I asked Clinton when she came back to talk to the press at the back of the plane, I said, will you accept the results? And people laughed it off at the time. She laughed it off at the time. She did not actually answer the question, and then she lambasted Donald Trump for what he had said at the podium, but she did not answer the question, and I did ask it of her.
You know, you look back at this race and how, and the campaign that she ran, and of course now it's 2020 hindsight, and she's going to be ripped to, you know, high heavens, but truly, Chris, the lack of access that she gave to the press, right? Trump spent the whole year beating up on the press, but at least he made himself available to most people. She was in the presidential protection program. She had so many opportunities when Trump was down. And you know, you saw this time and time again where she would surge ahead of him. He'd be down here. 2 weeks would pass. He'd be right back up there again. Again, she'd be up here. Same thing over and over and over again. She could never finish him. And remember in August, after the first debate, and he attacked the Khan family, and she went underground. She didn't speak to anybody. She barely had any campaign events. Even to the end, she was having so many fewer campaign events to him up until, you know, that last week when she's out of trouble. And people believed she was a person who was secretive, who was hiding something, who was not accessible, who they couldn't trust.
No, that's right. I mean, if his flaw that he had for the entire campaign was lack of experience and temperament, hers was lack of character. It was that people continued to have grave doubts, and obviously the Comey investigation and the emails, and as you say, the fact that she, one, did it, and then two, lied about it for months. You know, I mean, you look back at what she said in that original news conference at the United Nations in March of 2015, and when I finally did get an interview with her in July after the convention, I mean, just the contradictions. Forget whether what she did was right or wrong. What she told the American people and what Comey found were diametrically opposed. And in fact, in that interview, she said that they weren't. She said that Comey had cleared her, and then that became a whole issue. So over and over again, when there was a path to, you know, to put it out.
Like Lanny Davis told her she should.
Right. She wouldn't do it. So, and that was, if she loses tonight, going to turn out to be the top of that.
We got to hit a break here, Britt. Kellyanne Conway just tweeted out, she said, things that were true. Undercover Trump vote, at Mike Pence for VP, Hillary's floor and ceiling are same, rally crowds matter, we expanded the map. We are going to look at the map and waiting on these states after Fox News continues election coverage in an election we have not seen ever before. We'll be right back.
Ruth, she had a recipe for everything. Make big plans, but live spontaneously. Travel more. Live without regret. Take pictures. In 20 years, you'll be glad you did. And Make your best memories on a 500-degree sizzling plate. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. This is how it's done.
The power of OxyClean is now in a laundry detergent. 1 cap beats 4 caps of the leading value brand to remove tough stains better for brilliant whites and vivid brights. Try OxyClean HD laundry detergent today. Save up to 20% versus the leading brand.
Your brain is an amazing thing, but as you get older, it naturally begins to change, causing a lack of sharpness or even trouble with recall. Thankfully, the breakthrough in Prevagen helps your brain and actually improves memory. The secret is an ingredient originally discovered in jellyfish. In clinical trials, Prevagen has been shown to improve short-term memory. Prevagen, the name to remember.
Constipated? Trust #1 doctor recommended Dulcolax. Use Dulcolax tablets for gentle overnight relief, suppositories for relief in minutes, and stool softeners for comfortable relief of hard stools. Dulcolax, designed for dependable relief.
What's it like to be in good hands? Like finding new ways to be taken care of. Home, car, life insurance, obviously. But with added touches you can't get everywhere else, like claim-free rewards or safe driving bonus checks. Oh, yes. Even a claim satisfaction guarantee. In means protection plus unique extras. Only from an expert Allstate agent.
It's good to be in good hands.
Today I want to show you some internet videos.
This is Black Friday. That is insane. I would never do that.
At Chevy, you can avoid the chaos and get great deals on the most awarded lineup.
I like that.
Bam! It's awesome. Then I have to camp out the Chevy dealer 2 days in advance.
I love it.
Wow.
And you don't have to wait until Black Friday. Find your tag and get 20% cash back or get 0% financing for 72 months on select remaining 2016 Silverado double cabs in stock. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
The Clinton campaign headquarters, let's head over to, and there's our crowd outside the Fox News headquarters. Let's head over to Jennifer Griffin. Jen?
Well, Brett, we've just learned that John Podesta is heading over here to the Javits Center from the Peninsula Hotel, where Hillary Clinton and her family have been waiting tonight. And we understand that Hillary Clinton will not be heading over to the Javits Center. So we are still waiting on John Podesta. We don't know what he will tell the crowd that is gathered here. It seems like the room has filled up a bit in the last few minutes, but we can now report that Hillary Clinton will not be coming to the Javits Center tonight.
Will not.
Will not.
So what do we take from that, Jen?
Well, I think what we take from that is it's not clear whether the campaign is prepared to concede. And so I think there are still a number of races that are very close. I think they feel that there are certain states, whether it's New Hampshire or others, that might be in recount territory.
Well, let's talk about the irony of this moment. The fact that there was that much concern from Democrats that Donald Trump said he would not concede the race. There was that much uproar in the Hillary Clinton campaign that he said, I'm going to have to wait and see what happens to Chris Wallace on that third debate. The fact that there was that much press about that comment, and yet here we are, and Hillary Clinton, it appears, is not going to concede tonight, even if Donald Trump gets over this magic number of 270.
Well, that's exactly right, Brett. In fact, we're trying to find that moment on board the plane where I asked her that very question, whether she would accept the results. But again, these last few states have not come in yet. Some of them are very close, and it is clear from their analytics that they feel that it's still very close.
Okay, Jen, we appreciate the info. If you get anything else, let us know. We want to head over to our decision desk, which has made some calls, and obviously some calls are still pending.
Here we are.
And Megan didn't walk there this time, but there she is.
Hello. We're here. Arden's here again. Arden, Michigan, great to see you. So, first of all, let's start with the Senate. Why haven't we called, I mean, we've sort of said that Republicans are going to retain the power in the Senate, but why haven't we officially called that?
There are several unknowns in the Senate now. The first is that there's a Louisiana runoff which takes place in early December between a Democrat and a Republican. And while I think a lot of people say the Republican is advantaged in that runoff, we can't make a call for the Senate until we have an actual result from Louisiana.
So you're not going to make a call on the Senate tonight? We're never going to get the fancy graphic on the Senate tonight?
That is correct. It is theoretically possible that we could get the Democrats to 50, but that would require
to believe that they had the control of the Senate would require Hillary Clinton.
Let me stand you by because John Podesta is taking the stage now at Hillary's headquarters. Let's listen.
Well, folks, I know you've been here a long time, and it's been a long night, and it's been a long campaign. But I could say we can wait a little longer, can't we? We're still counting votes, and every vote should count. Several states are too close to call, so we're not going to have anything more to say tonight. So listen to me. Everybody should head home. You should get some sleep. We'll have more to say tomorrow. I want you to know, I want every person in this hall to know, and I want every person across the country who supported Hillary to know that your voices and your enthusiasm means so much to her and to Tim and to all of us. We are so proud of you. And we are so proud of her. She's done an amazing job, and she is not done yet. So thank you for being with her. She has always been with you. I have to say this tonight. Good night. We will be back. We'll have more to say. Let's get those votes counted, and let's bring this home. Thank you so much for all of you have done. You are in all of our hearts. Thank you.
John Podesta, chairman of the Clinton campaign, with a message of head home and get some sleep. Certainly not what they expected to be delivering at campaign headquarters for Hillary Clinton tonight. Now that the ball is in Donald Trump's court, as none of the television networks have called this race for him, nor have they called Pennsylvania for him. Some of the outstanding states we're waiting on. The Associated Press has made some different calls. We're here at our decision desk with Arne Mishkin, who's the head of the desk, and I'm going to ask you about that. So first of all, where do we stand on Pennsylvania?
Pennsylvania right now, Trump is in the lead. There are, however, a number of outstanding votes that have not yet been counted. And more important, there are a number of counties where we actually don't know how many votes are really outstanding, particularly absentee votes. And the thing about absentee votes is absentee votes tend to be different than election day votes. So until we see how many absentee votes are outstanding and get that number, it's going to be very difficult to make a call.
Do you agree that that state might not be called tonight?
That is very possible.
Wow. All right, what about, we're back in Michigan now. What's happening in Michigan?
In Michigan, we're waiting for a dump of absentee votes in a number of places, particularly in places where the Democrats tend to be very strong, such as Detroit. And until we see that, it's going to be, we won't be able to get to where we would like to be, which is 99.95% probability of victory.
So you might not call Michigan tonight?
That is a possibility, although we'll be staying here late and seeing how the vote comes in.
Minnesota.
Minnesota is a very close state. Right now, I think Hillary Clinton is up, but it's nowhere near the place where you could be called, the state would be callable.
Are we waiting on an additional vote or absentee? What's the problem there?
One more vote to be counted, and similarly in New Hampshire, which is also looks like it's headed.
It's so small. How can we not have all the votes in New Hampshire?
That's a really good question.
What's the answer?
I don't know.
Do you think you're going to be able to call New Hampshire tonight?
I think New Hampshire tonight is potentially very doubtful.
Really?
Yes.
All right, so maybe we should start with what you think you might be able to call. What is outstanding that looks like a possibility?
We may be able to call Pennsylvania president, and we may be able to call Michigan president, but that would take within an hour or two before we can call that.
You'll know within the next 2 hours, you think?
I would suspect, yes.
Whether you can call it, not who's won necessarily.
I think actually those two answers will converge.
They're the same.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, do you agree with John Podesta's decision to come out there and tell everybody to go to sleep and go home, and her decision not to concede tonight?
Well, you guys pay me to count vote. But I will say that I would argue that one of the big mistakes Al Gore made in 2000 was appearing to be about to concede and then not to concede. So I think that what Podesta is doing today, or what the Clinton people are doing today, which is actually what the Nixon people kind of did in 1960, when they didn't concede, although in the case of 1960, he sort of appeared to concede and then didn't concede. I think what they're doing is probably very shrewd from their perspective.
Because she doesn't, I mean, you tell me whether you believe she's thinking she's got a good shot of still winning this tonight, or whether she's just thinking there is some chance, so I'll wait to see whether that pans out.
I think it's the some chance, so I should wait to see how this pans out.
And now the decision is Donald Trump's. What would you do if you were Trump? Would you wait if you've got all the networks refusing to actually call it because it is tight? It's tight. Do you go out there and claim victory, or do you still go out there and give a uniting message and a standby for tomorrow? Brett?
We're looking live at the Javits Center where Democrats in the Hillary Clinton camp are leaving. They're kind of filing out of there after John Podesta said what he said. But to your question, Megan, what happens at Trump HQ? What's the decision over there? Carl Cameron is over there. And let's check in with Campaign Carl. What happened?
They're still sort of trying to assess what was meant by Podesta, and then we'll have more to say tomorrow. Obviously, the Trump campaign sees victory, and they're waiting for Fox to call Pennsylvania and some of our competitors to call some of the states that we've called that they have not. At this point, there are a variety of combinations. If all of the networks had done things simultaneously, where he would already be over the top. At this point, the Trump campaign is impatient. The Trump supporters are impatient. We've had chants of na-na-na-na-na-na-na, hey, goodbye. We've had chants of call it. They want this over with. They came in here apprehensive, saying that it was a very difficult time for them. They were cautiously, hopefully, thinking that they could be optimistic. And now, there's a little bit of righteous indignation growing here. They're screaming again, call it. The Trump camp recognizes that they are about to take over. But when the numbers don't come out, and when Arnon, Michigan is saying we are going to be right, not first, they're just going to have to be patient.
That's exactly right, Carl, and I know how tough that is, again, when they're broadcasting our channel there in the hall. Nice job. Karl Rove, what do you do? You're campaign manager. What do you tell your candidate?
Get a few hours sleep, polish the speech, and be prepared to speak to the country. We're all junkies. We're here in the studio, and we got a lot of people watching it. But America, a lot of it has now gone to sleep. And better